Got to give a huge shout out to Moroccan player Ashraf Hakimi. He had no assets under his name. His wife filed for a divorce and discovered that in court, nothing was under his name. Hakimi's wife, after she filed for divorce, she wanted more than half of this man's fortune. Hakimi receives more than €1 million from PSG each month. 80% of this amount is deposited monthly in his mother's account, Mrs. Fatima. Ashraf Hakimi has no properties, cars, or jewelry to his name. Everything Hakimi wants to buy, he asks his mother, who buys it and immediately puts it in her name. So when this chick tried to play this dude, she got a rude awakening. The dude had nothing in his name. This, gentlemen, is how you combat divorce.
La noche y el día. La noche, y físicamente la noche y el día. Uno es muy racial y el otro es blanco y rubio, o sea, nada, la noche y el día.
¿Esos ojazos, alguno la hace?
El pequeño un poco.
So I'm going to make this very, very quick because this actually fits into what I've already been talking about regarding like the passport bros and traveling abroad for relationships and marriage. April 7th, David Bridal is said to be considering bankruptcy again. So it would be the second bankruptcy in 5 years for the retailer, which boasts that it sells one of every 3 wedding dresses in the U.S. Now, I've seen a David's Bridal, but I've never actually been into one, nor have I actually seen anybody actually go into one. You would think that there'd be more traffic, but there's just not. A booming wedding industry is seemingly not enough to prop up the fortunes of one of the nation's largest bridal retailers. David's Bridal boasts that it sells one of every 3 wedding dresses in the United States. Yet it continues to struggle to manage its costs after emerging from bankruptcy 5 years ago, and it is working with advisors as it explores its options. According to 2 people familiar with the matter, nothing definite has been decided. But one possibility is for the retailer to file for bankruptcy again within the next few weeks. The company has been working with the investment bank Houlihan Lokey to explore a sale, which could be included as part of a bankruptcy filing, according to one of the people who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss internal deliberations. Even if it does file for bankruptcy, David's Bridal plans to continue to meet the demands of its customer base, which is largely brides, according to one of the people familiar with the matter. That includes delivering dresses and holding fittings. That was the same promise it made when it filed for bankruptcy the first time in 2018. In addition to Houlihan Lokey, David's Bridal was hiring the law firm Kirkland & Ellis and the investment firm BRG to explore its option. Guys, the writing's already on the wall. Despite the fact that you have a bunch of these morons on the internet, especially on The View and The Talk and all of these stupid daytime talk television shows. Oh, well, why aren't the men getting married? Why is marriage going down? The men are literally telling you why they don't want to get married. They're telling you. They don't trust the women, and the laws will completely ruin their lives if things go south. So why take the chance? The problem is there are entire industries. In fact, I would go so far as to say we could almost call it the wedding industrial complex that this entire country is, for the most part, built on, which is why you see the entire country gradually going down. You see, the way it works is in your 20s, I'll say it like this. In your early 20s, you get married. That's the way it's supposed to work. And you're supposed to stay married. Now, in your early 20s, you get married. Now you have probably 2 incomes. And that's when you're supposed to be buying a house. This is part of the reason why they came up with the 30-year mortgage. The 30-year mortgage is based on the belief that you're going to marry in your 20s. You're going to stay married for 30 years. That you're going to finish paying off your house, and that by the time you're retiring, which is around, between 50 and 60, that you'll sell your property and that you'll probably get something smaller and more manageable while leaving your property to a younger couple. But that's obviously not what's happening with this economy. People are getting married later and later and later in life, if at all. We have studies that are showing that by 2030, most women are going to be single and childless. Most women are going to be single and childless. Now, there's always a possibility that those women might try to somehow impregnate themselves or go to a bank or something, despite the fact that I've also showed you studies that shows less than 2% of the sperm donors are black men. So for some women, it's going to be a little bit harder than for others. But the bottom line is, by 2030, most women are expected to be single and childless. So add all these little facets together. And what you see is that if we're not marrying, we're not buying houses, then we're not shopping to put stuff in our houses. If people are going about their own direction and getting apartments, then that means that you have less space for stuff, which means you don't shop as much, which means retailers lose money. And now what you got? You got David's Bridal filing bankruptcy. Other companies file bankruptcy. They're not making enough money because people aren't shopping as much. They know that women shop the most. They know that women spend the most. Men are more likely to cut back, hold off, not buy. So the reality is these women are looking for credit and they're looking for a man so that they can put their hand in his pocket. And so this way that she has extra money to spend. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is the men are saying the only way to win is not to play. That's what war games taught us in the 1980s. The only way to win this game is not to play. Men are backing off. David's Bridal goes bankrupt. The other bridal companies will soon follow because if David's Bridal is the largest and they're filing bankruptcy every few minutes, obviously the other guys are going under too. As you can see, closely related story. David's Bridal is the king of the wedding industry. How did it go bankrupt? That was November 2018. Then, 14 hours ago, David's Bridal bankrupt. Initiates massive layoffs. Another mass layoffs nationally. Okay, so you see this lady right here? She's got that big smile on her face. Well, she's about to have that smile wiped off her face. Because, I think she might be looking for a job. So it says, David's Bridal is considered a sale or other strategic options while targeting more than 9,000 layoffs nationally between April and August 2023. So they're about to lay off 9,000 people. And it's weird because that seems to be the magic number, 9,000, 10,000. Whenever they want to lay off people, they're laying off between 9,000 and 10,000 people. With wedding season looming, David's Bridal filed for bankruptcy protection on Sunday and is laying off as many as 9,000 workers nationally with the possibility of store closings and an unknown impact on its Connecticut locations in Danbury, Orange, and Manchester. In documents posted online Monday by the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the District of New Jersey, David's Bridal stated it has 10,000 employees total, about 8,000 of them who work part-time. The company warned of the possibility of a complete liquidation if it is not able to restructure its finances successfully under bankruptcy protection. David's Bridal blamed its debt spiral on a confluence of adverse macroeconomic trends. I have an easier way of saying that. Men aren't marrying these women. How about that? Including the lasting impact of COVID-19 on the wedding industry, as stated in its bankruptcy filing. Due to the significant number of weddings postponed during the pandemic, brides still find it challenging to secure their ideal wedding venue, resulting in couples elongating their wedding planning cycles and brides delaying their timing for selecting a dress, stated David Bridal CEO Markham. In a declaration included with the company's bankruptcy filing, an increasing number of brides are opting for less traditional wedding attire, including thrift wedding dresses. I have another way of saying that. These women are broke. Okay. The company estimates that 1 of every 4 brides wears a gown from David's Bridal, with the chain having broadened its focus and passed several years to prom apparel. On it now, why the hell would you have to go to David's Bridal to get stuff for a prom? Really? I would say that you're doing too much. Why you're sending your daughter to a prom, and she had to go to David's Bridal for that? Really? On its Facebook page Monday, David's Bridal indicated it intends to fulfill all orders without disruption. David's Bridal closed a Norwalk outlet in 2018 with Westport Avenue storefront now occupied by Westport Auction. Anything important here? In a filing with Pennsylvania Department of Labor, David's Bridal indicated an initial round of pink slips went out Friday. Damn. So a whole lot of people just lost their job. With a second wave to occur over 2 weeks in the back half of May. Layoffs will continue throughout the summer, with the company aiming to cut as many as 9,250 jobs. No, you're not supposed to put the period there, guys. In a separate filing in Colorado, David's Bridal indicated it is seeking a sale or I guess they don't do proofreading anymore. What happened to ChatGPT? I thought the artificial intelligence was supposed to tell you screwed up. A potential wind down of some or all of the business, in the words of the filing. In its bankruptcy filing, the company stated multiple entities have expressed interest in an acquisition since February, when an investment banking firm began soliciting interest on behalf of David's Bridal. Let me tell you something. Regardless what the rest of this story says, because you get the gist of it. All I can say, men, to all the men who are listening to what I'm saying right now, I've got, I just hit 87,000 subscribers. All I can say is, hold the line! Hold the line! You remember what they were telling you about Bitcoin and XRP and Ethereum? What were they saying? They would say, hold the line! Hold the goddamn line! Hold the line! Hold the line! You remember that? I haven't said that one in a while. That's what they were saying. They were literally, you remember AMC? You remember when we would go, we're going to the moon! You remember AMC? You remember GameStop? Hold the line! What did Ja Rule? Was it Ja Rule? He came out and he said, I think he tweeted, he was like, yeah, the reason why it's going down is because you motherfuckers are holding the motherfucking line. Hold the line! I just made a video about SBE, shame, blame, and explaining. You're not going to be able to shame, blame, and explain these women into marrying you. The only logical solution is to get your goddamn if you want to get married, if you want marriage and you want it to last, do what my uncle did. Get your goddamn passport and go find you something overseas, because you ain't getting it here. This is a dumpster fire. This right here is a toxic environment. As Sigourney Weaver said, the only thing we can do is take off and nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Guys, get your passports. This. You can see how this is going down. It's going under. So the question obviously is going to be asked, where should I go? What countries have the lowest divorce rates? Now, the logic being, if you go to a country where divorce rates are extremely low, chances are you're going to be marriage-minded women. Now, these are the women that if you meet them and you try to play games with them, chances are they're going to back off. They're not going to play games with you because they're marriage-minded. They're not interested in just dating. They're interested in longevity. Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Peru, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, Malta, South Africa, Ireland, Guatemala, Venezuela, and Uruguay. These are the 10 countries with the lowest divorce rates in the world. Vietnam has the lowest divorce rate in the world. Now, understand something. These Southeast Asian countries, I keep on saying it, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Philippines. Those countries, marriage it's treated differently than it is here. It's treated with reverence and respect. But a lot of men are getting their passports. They're headed to Southeast Asia. Now, there are some men who are headed to these very same countries. There is a other quick story. This is April 3rd, 2023. Now, it says, as of 2020, Sri Lanka has the lowest divorce rate in the world, with only 0.15 divorcees per 1,000 population. Vietnam and Guatemala followed with zero point 0.2 divorces per 1,000 inhabitants. So as you can see, Sri Lanka and Vietnam basically is at the top of the list, but Sri Lanka is fighting Vietnam for that number one spot. Guatemala, St. Vincent, Grenadines, Peru, South Africa, Colombia, Venezuela, Chile, United Arab Emirates, Dubai, and Abu Dhabi, Ireland, Panama, Qatar. All of them are less than one. They're in the 0 point. So the reality is, these are some of the main countries you should focus on. Get your passports. You see, unlike these game dudes in the manosphere who think you just need a better mouthpiece and that you got to handle the women. No. What you need to do is do what you should have done a long time ago. Get your passport and get that flight. See, they were so worried about winter coming, they forgot about summer. The passport bros run the summer. They run spring break, and they run the summer. And keep in mind, because of that 23.5-degree tilt of the earth towards the sun, when it's winter here, it's summer on the other side of the hemisphere. You see, they forgot about summer. I don't know. Kevin Samuels, maybe I should have called up Kevin Samuels while he was alive and told him, listen, Kevin, you're right. Winter is coming. But the closer you get to that equator, it's always summer. When you're in between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer, it's always summer for the passport bros. It's always summer for the passport bros. Get your passports. You should have done it a long time ago. Pick your country. Find a good country. Find a good wife. Get yourself a family, which you're not going to get here. This is a toxic environment. That's all you got to do. It's just that simple. You don't have to worry about no mouthpiece. That's what these game dudes think. Mouthpiece. You just need a better mouthpiece. You got to talk. You got to spit some game. No. Keisha and Shaniqua are going to laugh in your face, and they're going to take away your visitation rights.
These men were telling us that all they had to do was go abroad to find a wife because the American women just couldn't.
Excuse me. Like, did you say us? Us. The passport brothers were talking to, and you. No, good boy, child. Stop. Just stop it.
To be continued.